Have you ever noticed how life can just get you down at times? And if we're not careful, our mind can take us to really dark places. This new series will give us tools on how we can build mental fortitude. So if you are interested in building blocks to strengthen your mental health, go ahead and keep watching. The first tool that we'll be discussing is focusing on what we can control. Have you ever felt helpless in a situation and that you can't stop thinking negative thoughts? By focusing on what we can control, we take a little bit of our power back to what was taken from us in whatever circumstance we're experiencing. So what is the first thing that we need to do in order to focus on what we can control? It's really important to just dump what you can't control out somehow. You can either write it down, talk to a therapist, talk it out loud, talk to a trusted friend, but it's really important to just get out what you can't control and name it, There's a lot of freedom in just getting what's on our mind out. A lot of times our negative thoughts are just swirling around in our head, but if we're able to write it down or talk it out, we're not only just releasing some of the power that it has on our mind, but we're able to judge our thoughts too to see if they are, lining up to what our values are and what we truly believe. But this is a segment that you don't want to spend a lot of time in. Some examples of some things that we can't control are the perceptions that other people have of us. We can't control what other people do, and we can't control the circumstances that we're in. So what's the second thing we need to do? This is where we spend the most time. And this is when we brainstorm ideas of what we can control. This takes the hard part because a lot of times circumstances just happen to us and we can feel helpless and that there's no hope for us. So this is going to take some creativity and some work on your end, but it will be worth it. So what can we control? Number one, we can control our attitude around certain circumstances. Say that 5 times fast. We can control our attitude. And so this takes a lot of thought and a lot of consideration about reframing it and how we can look at a certain circumstances through a positive lens. And that's the thing about this segment, is that it can take a long time. Sometimes we expect things to be fixed in just 5 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. We kind of have to dwell on what we can control and brainstorm and continue to pray and continue to learn and adjust our attitude. So even though I'm saying number one, you can control your attitude, it may be a process even in itself, but it's something that you can shoot for and give you a little bit of your power back. Number two is you can control how you are going to address the situation. A lot of times we think that circumstances happen to us that we have no control over, and that's just it. But you do have an option of how you want to address it. Maybe it's a conversation that you need to have that might take a lot of courage. Maybe it's looking for another job so that you know that you have options. Maybe is going to places where you can meet new friends and create a new community. Maybe you have issues with a certain person and you need to understand if you need to resolve it or sever that relationship. And you have the power to create a support system for yourself. Is there family members that you can lean on at this time? Are there people in your community that want to help you? Maybe you've helped them for so much and they want to help you. Or maybe certain people have certain skills that you can lean on during this time. You have the power to start looking at how you want to address the situation. And thirdly, you can dwell on what you can learn from the situation. And this is definitely a difficult thing to do, especially when you're in the heat of a circumstance. But sometimes our circumstances can teach us self-discipline. Sometimes we can find that what other people are trying to project on you is just a reflection of their insecurities and what they've gone through. So you're able to learn different things through different circumstances. And this takes a lot of time and this takes prayer. So it's really important for you to spend the most time in this segment. So I know that you guys have heard me mention God in this segment, and that's because I feel like there's a third step that can take each of these steps even a little bit deeper. And it's about trusting in God through the process, and it's about relying on Him. There's a verse that has been on my mind lately, and it has dug deeper into my heart than ever before. And it's an extremely common verse, but lately it's just stuck to me. It's Jeremiah 29:11, and it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." First of all, God has plans for you. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it. I know sometimes that life can beat us up, but He has a plan for us and a purpose for us, each and every one of us. And I like this part right here, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Sometimes I feel with life, I just okay, I got beat up a little bit, ruffle and tuffle. But God says, my plan is to prosper you. So even though you may feel run down, even though you may be feeling beat up by life, God still, through it all, wants to prosper you. So pray and ask God, what is my purpose? What is my plan? And you tell this verse back to God. You promised to prosper me. Where is that prosperity that you're talking about? And really wrestle with God, because I know that He is going to enlighten you in His timing of what this season, what this circumstance, what you can gain from it. And the last part, plans to give you a hope and a future. Sometimes we just need hope in our situation, and I don't know the answer why we have to go through bad things. And when we go to heaven, I know that we can ask God. But the one thing that gives me hope is even Jesus, when He came on this earth, He didn't have a perfect life at all. He was beaten, He was smitten, He grew up in the hood, He was cursed at, He was misunderstood His whole life. And the Bible says a man of sorrows. So I take comfort that even Jesus, when He came on this earth, when He could have took the easy way out, He didn't. So that He can relate to each and every one of us in every single situation that we're in and pull us closer and closer to Him. So I pray that this was helpful and a helpful activity. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And please go ahead and send this video to somebody you think needs to hear this as well. All right?